now 4 o'clock, and we'll call the meeting of the Waxahachie Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show we have 5 trustees in attendance, and this meeting has been duly called, and notice this meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. First item on our agenda is our board workshop, which will be the preparation for Waxahachie Creek High School. Mr. Calden, Dr. Averett.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, board. Dr. Averett and I are going to walk through a very preliminary draft of our plans for Waxahachie Creek at this point. The goal of this really is to get your feedback and to get some discussion so that we can modify these plans and really have something ready for the community as we get to the opening of Waxahachie Creek. So, want to talk. The biggest hurdle that we have left at this point from the community is identifying who's going to be going to Waxahachie Creek High School. And so wanted to start off with our priorities as we went into looking at potential rezoning maps. The district identified socioeconomic balance, a pure junior high campus feeder pattern. We would like for the 2 high school campuses, the 2 comprehensive high school campuses, to be in different UIL districts to start with. That's a district preference. It's not a mandatory. And then we would like to efficiently utilize our campuses. We don't want to overload one campus for the sake of the other campus, because we know that that's going to increase wear and tear on whichever campus was overloaded. Board, you may remember back in January that we started doing some town hall. We did a safety and security town hall, and we also started talking about the rezoning plan for Creek at the same time to try to get some feedback from our community. At those town hall events, one of the questions that was posed to our community is, what grade levels would you like to see Waxahachie Creek High School open with? I wanted to show you the results of that. About 54% of our community suggested grades 9 and 10 be how we open Waxahachie Creek. Honestly, that's kind of the way we were leaning already. If you remember back with our 17,000 plus student plan, the original idea was to open a 9th grade center, and those students would have not stepped foot on Waxahachie High School. Some of those in their sophomore year would go to WHS, and some of them would go to Waxahachie Creek. So that was the overall initial plan. But right behind grades 9 and 10 was grade 9 only. And then we had a contingent, about 7%, that really were undecided, and we're leaving it up to the district. The other big rocks that we were asking our community is, you've heard from the district about these are our priorities for opening Waxahachie Creek. We wanted to receive their feedback as well. You'll notice that the first 4 items on this graph, while some are more significant than others in terms of the volume of responses from our community, really fall in line with the priorities that the district identified as we go through the rezoning process for Creek. The last one on there, travel time or a route to Waxahachie Creek High School, really was not an item that we were considering. We know where the campus is going to be. We know that we have plans with TxDOT to have Spur 394 constructed. So a lot of the traveling to the campus are going to really be on the individual students or parents as they may be traveling and getting their kids to that campus. Obviously, we will have transportation for students who are zoned to that campus outside of that 2-mile radius. But it was good seeing the feedback from our community, because it was very much in line with our identified priorities going into the opening of Creek.
And we were through this process. We had 384 different responses. So we had nearly 400 folks participate in this survey from the get-go, and that was pretty encouraging, because this is early in the process in a lot of folks' minds that we're talking about these items, but based on what we've learned as far as when you open up your second comprehensive high school in the district, we're really right on schedule as far as when we're asking this. We really need to have some of these decisions, this big decision made by around August, which is 2 years prior to the opening of it. So again, we're on schedule, but we were happy to that, even though our attendance at the town halls wasn't very high right off the bat, we did get good amount of response from our survey that we put out.
Board, to this point, district administration has been working with our demographer to look at potential maps of what attendance zones may look like for Waxahachie Creek. We've elicited a little bit of feedback from Mike Morgan as a community member to give us some potential anthills that we may be stepping in or areas to consider. But really tonight, we've got two plans that we would like to show you, and we'd like to really start that process of getting your feedback and then going forward with some more town halls with the community, of getting the community's feedback as well. So the first plan that we're looking at is a plan that really sticks with the existing elementary boundaries. So the dark red lines that you see are elementary boundary lines within our district. And I learned something really cool over here. Where's that mouse? That we can use this as a little laser pointer, if I can find the mouse. There we go. So right now, this is 1446, and you see that the Dunaway zone goes across 1446 only in one part of it. So one area that we are talking about that's not reflected on this map would be a zoning change that these students on the north side of 1446 would all be zoned into the Wedgeworth zone and not the Dunaway zone, which would be consistent as you go down 1446. Right now, there are 5 elementary students that live in this area. 2 of them attend Wildman Steam Academy. No, 1 attends Wildman Steam Academy, 2 attend Dunaway, and 2 attend Wedgeworth. So right now, we're not talking a significant realignment. We're not talking a significant number of impacted families or students, but that's the only real change that's not reflected in these maps that involves elementary zones as we go through this entire process. And the whole purpose of that was just to make it more clean as we go through. Previewing a little bit, this is the Kemp Ranch or Emery Lakes development subdivision. So at the time when we drew this map, that was because this was expected to be more age restricted. So we were really trying to capture the houses that were already there as compared to potential development into to Emery Lakes. Regardless, we're talking 5 students at the elementary level at this point. So we are looking at a rezoning there. But overall, this map, it follows the existing elementary boundaries. Some of those are kind of hard to see in here, but you've got your Marvin and Northside boundary and your Marvin and Cliff boundaries, but it truly follows those elementary plans. How that would look like from a student enrollment perspective, again, we're talking Waxahachie Creek to open in 27. So this would be kind of your first year of opening, but these numbers are assuming that everyone who is zoned to Waxahachie Creek would go to Waxahachie Creek in year 1. And we talked about we're only planning to open it with 9th and 10th. So students who are zoned to 11th and 12th grade or juniors or seniors would stay at Waxahachie High School. It's not our plan to open that campus with all 4 grade levels in year 1. So really, you need to look out here about 2030, 2031 to get a really good idea. This would be students attending their zoned campus at the high school level. So when you're looking out 2030, 2031, you're seeing about a 200 student to 280 student delta between the 2 enrollments. So if we go back to our priorities, that would have a preference priority from the district would be those campuses would be in different UIL aligned districts. And so that is one of the things that we were talking about. It would also help with our utilization of the campus. We're not looking at one overloaded campus. We're looking at 2 campuses, both with a 3,200 student capacity, both with roughly 1,800 to 1,900 students in them at the time that we have all 4 grade levels. I would draw your attention down to this field over here, this percent ED, that's percent economically disadvantaged students. At Waxahachie Creek High School, we'd be about 51.1%. These are today's enrollment numbers. Obviously, I can't predict out into 2030, 2031. But with today's numbers, I'm 51% at Creek and 51.8% at Waxahachie High School. Essentially balanced if you're looking at the 3,900, 3,800 students that we're talking about enrolling in Waxahachie Creek and Waxahachie High School. So the second plan that I would like to show you does not exactly follow the same mantra. The second plan, you will start seeing some different boundaries in here. You'll see this green area right here. That's in the middle of an elementary zone. This is Northside Zone, and this is Marvin's Zone. And we're following Farley Street out. So Farley Street would become your new divisor line between Waxahachie High School attendance zone and Waxahachie Creek High School attendance zone. What that would do is start really creating some issues into secondary campuses. Now we're not talking full feeders from an elementary to a junior high, so it'll be harder on those campuses to identify which students are going to Waxahachie High School, which students are going to go to Waxahachie Creek High School. The reason we're showing you this plan is because of its end result when we look at student enrollment. In 2030-31, you're talking a 2-student delta between the two campuses. When you get out to 34-35, we're talking an 80-student delta. So if our biggest priority is utilizing the campuses to almost an exact mirror of itself, this plan would do that in terms of student enrollments. But if you look down at percent economically disadvantaged, you would have Waxahachie Creek at about 53.5% and Waxahachie High School at about 49.6%. Not a huge gap between the two, but it is a larger gap than we saw in Plan 1. So realistically, at this point, wanted to get from the board if you had a preference between Plan 1 or Plan 2 that we could at least start as our foundation as we start going forward looking at the rezoning plans for both campuses. And I can put it back on, I'm going to selfishly put it on Plan 2's map because I like Plan 1 better, so I'm not really going to push you that way. But I do want you to be able to see this one because it is a little bit different. I don't have a more zoomed in version. I do apologize for that, but the biggest change is, again, along Farley Street. Right now we're using Getz and Daner as the boundary line between Marvin and Clift and Northside and Clift, and this would shift that boundary line to Farley Street instead of Getz and Daner for secondary, for high school purposes. So it would not immediately shift the elementary line, but it would for high school.
I like Plan 1 for several reasons. One, I like the true elementary, junior high, high school feeder. Also, UIL purposes, I just don't want a inner city rival going on. So, yeah, with UIL and sports. So, yeah, I like Plan 1.
We know that we'll eventually get there. I mean, eventually, but
Just not yet.
yeah.
I prefer Plan 1 with one change,
Yes, sir.
and that would be bringing that area you talked about that's currently in Dunaway on 1446 and just make it, if you bring that along 1446, it just makes it a cleaner. And you're
Yes, sir.
talking a total of 5 kids, which by the time this happens,
I live there, there's no home, there's not over 25 houses inside that area. And it will probably look much cleaner, just draw a line down like this and sit down there.
and when Kemp Ranch or whatever it's gonna be called is developed, that's changing anyway.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna, that's what I was gonna ask, you're gonna have to redistrict at that point anyway, probably.
Yes, sir. So realistically, with every campus opening, we'll be rezoning, but yes, to that end,
You'll
that's
have
a,
another elementary campus online by that point as well.
yes, sir. To your point, Kemp Ranch is about a 2,200 acre development, so there will be plenty of opportunities for us to continue to rezone as that building program gets off the ground and gets going.
Making that change, is that a big hindrance moving forward?
No, sir. I don't believe it's a huge hindrance at all. I mean, right now, real honest, we're a little inefficient because we're running buses for Wedgeworth down 1446 to go to the right, and we're running buses for Dunaway to also go to the right. When we're talking, 5 kids, that more than likely is fitting on the same bus, and we don't need to run them for Dunaway and Wedgeworth in that same area. So it's not a huge hindrance. Again, we're talking 5 students, but that would be one consideration. Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to see how large, other than Kemp Ranch, is it supposed to build out in that area?
Kemp Ranch is all over.
That's what I don't want to play, I'm sorry.
Right now, the biggest one that we have on the books is Kemp Ranch, and that's this area right here.
Okay.
And as Mr. Schoolfield was talking, it's 2,200 acres. The initial estimate was 10,000 home sites. They have backed off of that a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more as we get some more information from them. But at the time I shouldn't say we, I've heard that this has been talked about in district well before I got here, but As I first started hearing about this a couple of years ago, this one development itself, if all single family, would have doubled the size of our district just in one development. And so there is a significant play here in terms of development within Kemp Ranch. The question has always been the timing of that play. When does it start kicking off? And so the city started having those zoning meetings with the developers last year, but it's really gone cold at this point. So we'll see kind of where we go from here with that play. But right now, we are not making significant zoning decisions because of the potential for Kemp Ranch to come in as a development. Just because we do know of its size and its scope, it's going to require its own set of schools within that development as it goes. Yes, ma'am.
I like Plan 1 as well. One of my questions is with the map being so small. I see that Wedgeworth, Simpson, Marvin, what other elementaries kind of make
Yeah,
up
so
each?
for Waxahachie High School, you're looking at Shackelford, Simpson, Northside, Marvin, and Wedgeworth.
Okay.
And so on the other side of that coin, for Waxahachie Creek, you'd be looking at Felty, Jimmy Ray, Clift, and Dunaway.
Okay. Thank you.
Not to answer questions you didn't ask, Dunaway and Clift are going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to be really hard for them to go to any campus but Waxahachie Creek. But as we are looking at ways that we could possibly, again, ensure that economic, not diversity, but more balance between the two, that's when we're starting to look at pulling in Felty and Jimmy Ray. It might make the trip a little bit longer in the interim for some of those students to go out that way. But we also know that at some point, Spur 394 is going to be complete all the way through town, and that will make that trip significantly easier for students or parents trying to traverse from the east side of Waxahachie over to Waxahachie Creek High School.
Ryan, could you
Yes, ma'am.
repeat those, Felty, Jimmy Ray, Cliff, Dunaway, and
That's the list.
that's Cliff? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So that would be Waxahachie Creek. So we left off Wildman because Wildman has all lottery, and even the lottery component at Marvin Biomedical Academy. Lottery students go back to their home zoned campus for purposes of secondary matriculation. So you're a fifth grader and you go to Wildman, but you live in the Shackelford zone, you're going to go wherever Shackelford goes for junior high or high school.
And once we go to the fourth junior high, we're gonna make this a true junior high feeder pattern, correct?
Yes, sir. Right.
So how will they divide them in the meantime?
So that's a really good question, and that's one that we are still working on because we are trying not to create the haves and the have-nots. So we might see a campus that's currently at Coleman might move over to Findlay. Realistically, you're talking between Coleman and Findlay at this point, because if we're talking a true junior high feeder pattern, I know that Waxahachie Creek High School and junior high number 4 are going to come out of the 4 that we just mentioned: Dunaway, Clift, Jimmy Ray, and Felty. So I know those 4 collectively are going to have to go to Howard and are going to have to go to junior high number 4. I would not expect that you're going to see Felty switch over to Findlay. That wouldn't make sense in the long run based off the numbers that we were just talking. But you might see Simpson go to Coleman, and you might see a Northside go to Findlay as an example. But we're still working through those numbers to try to make sure that we have good balance and good diversity between our junior highs.
Okay.
So, and I tell you that, Ms. Kriegel, in all honesty, the first plan that we worked through doesn't work. The numbers, so we went through and we took through economic disadvantaged, we matched up the most disadvantaged with the most advantaged and started matching those campuses that way. It doesn't work because enrollment with the most economically disadvantaged and the most advantaged exceeds campus capacity. So we're still having to work through those to try to get them as balanced as we can. Just have not landed on one at this point yet.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a preliminary schedule of when we're gonna do the town halls for the public to get their feedback on this?
Yes, sir. You're about 6 slides ahead.
Okay,
We
sorry.
will
Okay.
give those to you here in just a little bit. So based off of feedback that I'm hearing from the board, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I want to keep us on track and kind of progressing, we're generally more in favor of Plan 1 and the pure elementary into junior high feeders and the pure junior high into high school feeders. Is that a general consensus from the board at this point?
Yes.
I'm seeing some nods, and I appreciate, sir, the feedback. So we will boogie on. So as we kind of talked about the identified priorities, and this slide was actually done in PowerPoint, and so with wingdings, and they don't translate as a font into Google Slides. So here you go. You get dots instead of check marks. Both plans really have a pretty good balance of socioeconomic between the campuses. Both of them look at a pure junior high feeder pattern. Alignment in different UIL districts. Plan 2, that would be one of the drawbacks. With an 8-kid delta in 2030-31, they're not going to be in different UIL districts, but for the grace of God. If the line is drawn 3 students more than the lower enrollment, we might luck into it, but that would not be planning. That would just be dumb luck. In terms of efficient campus utilization, I put a question mark in Plan 1 because depending on how you want to define efficient, maybe, in your opinion, having a 250 student delta is not as efficient, but the purpose of that from a district perspective was not overly taxing any one campus. So I would say yes. General community may or may not agree with that. So I put a question mark because really I wanted us to have that discussion and not just force Plan 1 down anybody's.
Ryan,
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a kind of a quick question. I don't know if you know. How do we, when we split and we are waiting for the UIL different districts, I mean, is there an application process and we say, these are our numbers here, and then leave it up to UIL?
So every year we have to apply with UIL. We have to tell them how many campuses we're going to have competing and in what they're going to compete in.
Okay.
Now, there is a formula that UIL employs when they're doing the realignments.
Okay.
So they will take all of our identified campuses, they will go in at snapshot and take the enrollments.
Okay.
And when we put Waxahachie Creek on that application, we will tell them they only have grades 9 and 10, and UIL for that realignment will say, okay, our standard practice is to multiply your reported enrollment times a number. I believe it's 1.33. And so they will say, we anticipate your enrollment in this biennium to be X number of students. They will then put Waxahachie Creek in a zone or in a district based off of that expectation. So what you will see, in all honesty, when Creek opens, the realignment that Waxahachie High School will be in will be a little bit inflated because we are not immediately pulling students out of Waxahachie High School to put them in Waxahachie Creek. That will build in over time, so you will slowly see the enrollment at Waxahachie High decrease as the number of grades at Creek increase. So Waxahachie High will be in a little bit larger district at the very onset of the realignment.
Okay.
That will start coming down a little bit as the enrollment shifts, and by the time we get to, I believe it's, what do we say, 28?
Yeah.
By the time we get to the year 2028, we will be closer to more accurate for that realignment purpose, or for that realignment period.
We
Okay.
will open in the middle of biennium. So
Okay.
we don't do realignment again until February of 28.
Okay.
And so if we open grade, let's say we open grade 9, 10, then that campus, Creek will perform or play in basically a JV schedule that year. And then the following year would be varsity athletics that we would get put into a varsity district in the spring of 28. Believe I'm saying that correct?
Okay, so the first year we'll play JV with our freshmen and sophomores. Okay? Thank you.
All right, now for the fireworks, campus transfers. Want to remind everybody as we get into Waxahachie Creek High School of the similarities to Waxahachie High School. Both are a 3,200 student campus. Waxahachie Creek, again, is planned to open with a zone for sophomore and freshman students only in 27-28. Juniors and seniors will be added 1 year each later. So the next year in 28-29 would be juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And then 29-30 would be the first year of all 4 classes. Students who are currently zoned for Waxahachie Creek in any year that they don't have that grade level. So in the first year, if you're a junior or a senior, you are zoned to Waxahachie Creek, you would continue at Waxahachie High School.
Okay.
And then in 28, 29, if you're a senior, zoned whether you have lived here your whole life or you moved in over the summer, you're a senior in 28, 29, zoned to Waxahachie Creek, you would still go to Waxahachie High School because we are not offering those senior level courses at Waxahachie Creek at that point. 29, 30 would be the first school year in which all 4 grade levels would be at both Waxahachie High School and Waxahachie Creek High School. Course offerings will be very similar at both campuses. We'll have advanced academic offerings, dual credit offerings, AP offerings, obviously on-level courses. We will have approximately 80% of current CTE offerings will be duplicated at both campuses. A lot of the programs that are very popular that you're thinking of will be at both. Some of them may have a unique flair at one campus or the next. We are not planning to rebuild the culinary kitchen the way it is at Waxahachie High School. That is not planned to be rebuilt at Waxahachie Creek. We will have a different program within that same area of instruction over in CTE at Waxahachie Creek. We do also plan to have a full slate of extracurricular activities, be they academics, fine arts, or athletics. Both campuses will have a full slate of offerings for students.
Any questions about that slide?
Campus transfers. Board wanted to kind of get your feedback on these. These are just some general thoughts that have been put down at this point. Nothing is set in stone, but wanted to start having those conversations with you. Right now, we're looking at a one-time transfer option. So if you are zoned to Waxahachie Creek High School and you would like to go to Waxahachie High School or vice versa for an academic program, so a program that is not offered at your campus but is offered at the other, whatever that program may happen to be, we are looking at a one-time transfer option. Let me back up a hot minute and go to the bottom bullet. All student transfers must provide their own transportation. So we would not be running buses for the transfer options. Students who would get a transfer to either campus or grandfathered, if we offer one, would have to provide their own transportation. So the one-time transfer option would again be for a student who elected to transfer between campuses for participation in an academic program. If the student leaves the academic program for which they transferred, the transfer is revoked and they return to their home campus. That would be one time over the course of a 4-year education. It's not one per year, it's not one per semester, not one per day, and definitely not one per minute. Grandfathered students, another option that we were looking at is any student who has started at Waxahachie High School and earned 1 credit, earned at least 1 credit at Waxahachie High School, would be given the opportunity to stay at Waxahachie High School. The reason, the justification behind this was generally they're involved in the campus in some way, shape, or form. If they're wanting to stay at Waxahachie High, we would like for them to be able to stay involved in whatever it is that they want to be involved in. Student does not have to take us up on this option. They can earn 35 credits if they want. They would be deemed a sophomore at that point, and they are welcome to attend Waxahachie Creek High School if they are zoned there. But we wanted to, I was proposing to give students the opportunity, if they've earned a credit at Waxahachie High School, they've gotten involved, they would have that ability to stay at Waxahachie High School. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
I think that's good.
Okay.
I think it's good, but I do have a question. What if everybody wanted to stay at Waxahachie High? Then that would not help our overcrowding at Waxahachie High.
You're absolutely right. I honestly do not envision that to be the case, but you're absolutely correct, Ms. Kriegel. The more options we throw out between transfers and grandfathers, the more that people take us up on them, the less of an impact we have with that zoning that we talked about a minute ago. We very much could have a disparity in enrollment and economically disadvantaged numbers, student participation numbers, opportunities for students. So it is a fine line that we'd be offering. I do believe that as a district, we are not going to sandbag it when it comes to key personnel. I believe that we'll have just as dynamic of coaches, just as dynamic of instructors, just as dynamic of fine arts instructors that will be at both campuses. So I believe there's an opportunity for our students to get plugged in and involved. I do believe that you will see some students who will earnestly look at this option and say, I have a greater opportunity to be involved to a greater extent from day one by going ahead and taking my enrollment over at Waxahachie Creek High School because that's where I'm zoned. You might have other students who choose that I've really made the connection with this teacher. I want to stay wherever they are. So it was really just to give that first group of students, this is really only going to be about a 4-year option because they would have had to already earn a credit. So it's those freshmen, sophomores, those would be the only 2 groups that would have the ability to use that grandfathering option, and then it would expire after that.
So all 8th graders will be mandated to go to Creek.
Yes, ma'am. So the 8th graders zoned to Waxahachie Creek High School would go to Waxahachie Creek High School.
Okay.
They would not have earned a credit at Waxahachie High School, enabling them to stay there. Wanted to be very clear that a high school credit at a junior high campus is not earning a credit at Waxahachie High School.
You headed me off on that one.
Well, I just didn't fully read the rest of the bullet, but it's down there. And then a credit advancement. So going to summer school and taking a course early is not credit at Waxahachie High School, even if that course is offered at Waxahachie High School in the summer. Because at that point, you're still an 8th grader. You still have not started that high school enrollment. So students, even if they're going to summer school to get a foreign language out of the way or fine art out of the way, they would still, if they're zoned to Waxahachie Creek, would still go to Waxahachie Creek that freshman year.
Okay, thank you.
I, excuse me, I like the campus transfers, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't know the right answer for it, but on the one-time transfer option, again, I don't know what we could do, but I would hate to see a student leave a campus for academic program purposes, but really it's for UIL purposes, if you kind of know what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That thought's has crossed our mind too. People are gonna be honest, I guess, with what they're going for. When we talk about academic programs, we're talking about specifically sometimes specific CTE programs. That's why we tried so hard to get so many of the same programs. And if it's not the exact same program, it's one that you can still earn all the same credentials or certifications through it at either campus. But I think that is a possibility, no doubt about it. So we have to be very careful.
Dr. Averett, what are the legalities to that? Because, I mean, I remember, was it Round Rock last year? Somebody got in trouble over this same thing with people transferring, for football, I believe it was. So what are the legalities? How do we address that?
Well, I think what would be a concern is if we thought somebody was actively recruiting.
Right.
Now, going to WHS and falling in love with the band program or the theater program or the basketball, that's not getting recruited. That's just you're there and you're invested. So, but to Mr. Cooper's point, it is something that we have to think about, which is really why we're having this discussion, because
Exactly.
we really want to hear, and that's why we want to hear this feedback. Because,
I mean, is it gonna happen? Yeah, it's gonna happen. But do we punish the majority that are gonna try to do it right?
Right.
For a small minority that may try not to do it right? I don't think so.
yeah.
I like the options.
As far as recruiting, but you could probably answer that there, Ryan.
The deal for UIL, when you're playing outside your attendance zone within your own school district, it's called first opportunity. So at first opportunity, if you chose to play at a school outside your attendance zone, you get varsity eligibility at that point. What happens, let's say you take that one-time waiver and you get this academic program, then you decide that's not for you and you have to go back to your campus, the UIL will penalize you one year of eligibility. So when you transfer back, that's going to cost you a year of eligibility varsity-wise. So, you really got to do your due diligence, parents and kids, to decide really where they want to go, because it can affect them. You know, if everything's going smooth up to their junior year and they decide, hey, that program's not for me, and they transfer out their senior year, that's a UIL rule. They will lose their senior year of eligibility for sports or any fine arts and stuff like that. So, you know, we have to do a great job of educating the parents as well as the students when it comes to this, because it could affect them, maybe not on the front end, but on the back end of their eligibility. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you for making that explanation.
Thank you. I just want to be sure it's in the back of our mind, you know, that we,
Any other feedback on transfers? Or
Good start.
Sir, you had asked for opportunities for town halls. So we were planning on, obviously today, we're talking with you in a workshop forum. It's out there for the general community to hear and give us their feedback. We're also looking at 2 town hall meetings per month over the summer. One during the day and one at night, to try to give people as many options as possible in between their own personal schedules. But we're looking at June 3rd, July 8th, and August 7th to have 6 o'clock or evening town halls. These would all be over at the Fine Arts Center. June 5th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, July 8th and August 7th at 10 a.m. Both of those days over in the Fine Arts Center. So we were really trying to keep it open for our community to come give us their feedback, hear what's going on, hear what we're talking about, look at the maps, and give us their feedback. It's our goal to bring back for your consideration at the August 11th, the regular board meeting in August, so that hopefully we can make a decision on this and have these set going into, that would give our community the better part of almost 2 years before school starts in 27, before these would take effect at the high school level. So we know that not everybody is going to be looking at them in August of 2025, but having those out there and on our website and available, and having a district and where people know what's coming forward really will help our community know where they're going, what's expected, and we can start that process of really building into Waxahachie Creek High School the correct way.
Will those be streamed live?
Yes, sir.
We'll do a Facebook Live with each one of them. And to Ryan's point, you know, this is the next, you know, the biggest hurdle at first was our community understanding that the need for a second comprehensive high school in our community. And obviously with the bond in 23, that was very well supported. And so we've done all the work between that as far as planning, and now we've already started construction on the building itself. And now we're getting to the point where, you know, this is a huge decision. Once this decision is made, we can then come back to the establishment of the Waxahachie Creek High School identity, and that is getting our student groups that we know will be a part of that campus as far as the incoming freshmen of that school, and really narrowing down on the mascot and colors for that high school. And that's huge when we start to establish the identity of a new school, because then, you know, all the things that really we kind of take for granted, right, at Waxahachie High School. We know the school song, we know the fight song, we know what the colors are, we know what the mascot is. And so those are things that we're going to have to establish for Waxahachie Creek. It's really exciting that, you know, we're going to get to know this, and when we establish who's going to go where, then we can establish the next piece, and then we can start to gain ownership of it over the next 2 school years. So when we open it up, we know that they're the creek, whatever we land on.
sounds great.
With that, are there any other questions or comments about anything that we've talked about? Anything you would like for us to look further into and bring back as far as a future workshop might go, or any other questions or comments that you may have that we can answer for you?
And that one-time transfer, those students, they won't get like first dib, right? They'll be like last in line.
as far as being involved in the program or not?
Yeah, so they go to Creek, but they want to go to WHS. They want that one-time transfer, but that's if there's room for them. Like they'll be tailored in last.
Right, I would say, yes, sir. Yeah.
Generally, as it relates to the transfers, our district generally follows an 80% rule. So if we have more than 80% utilization of a facility, we don't allow those transfers. Realistically, with the opening of both of these campuses, we're likely going to be under that threshold. So there'd be a good opportunity for them. But yes, if we get, and that grandfathering option, again, would only be available for that first group. So it's really, it has an expiration date of 4 years after that campus opens. Nobody who would not already have been in 9th grade, because they had to have that one credit at the high school level to qualify for that grandfathering option. So, but with the opening of the campus, there would be sufficient space for them to go. But yes, sir, to your point, they would be considered as spaces available.
Anyone else?
Well, thank you very much
Thank you, Gab.
for your input on this. And if you think of anything else that we didn't cover, or if you get a question, or if just something pops to your head, please let us know. I think from our conversation, I know that we need to obviously put some more work in the transfer piece, if that's going to be included, that we need to make sure we have some pretty specific guidelines for that Mr. Cooper brought up.
Anything that comes out of the discussion at the town hall, would you guys please take notes of that and present that to us as it comes, either in June or July, so we don't have to look
Absolutely.
at
Yes,
all in
sir.
August?
Yes, and that, I think, to your point, that'll be a good time, almost a midway point to the July board meeting, that we'll have some opportunity to get some feedback by then. So we'll have some more for you, yes. We'll do that as an informational item.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good job.
So our next item on our agenda is item number 3, which is canvassing our election results. So the board will consider and take action with respect to adopting an order canvassing the May 3rd, 2025 election. At this time, we will read the results of the May 3rd, 2025 Board of Trustee election. For place 6, Dusty Autry, 764 votes. Total votes cast, 1,171. For place 7, Debbie Timmerman, 811 votes, and Daniel Hobbs, 539 votes. Total votes cast, 1,150. At this time, do I have a motion to accept these results as read? Motion by Mr. Schofield. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Cooper. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. So at this, our next item on our agenda would be the oath of office. Was he told to be here by a certain time? By 5? Well, I guess what we'll. So, well, we're going to go into a recess till approximately 5 o'clock when Judge Wallace shows up then. It's 4:43. Okay, we're going to reconvene back into open session. We had a clerical error on our canvassing election, so we're going to come back to that in just a moment. But the first item we're going to do is our open forum. At this time, I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak this evening, so now I will go back to our election canvassing. So we're going to have to redo this due to a couple of errors that were made. So the board is going to consider and take action with respect to adopting an order canvassing the May 3rd, 2025 election. For place 6, Dusty Autry, 764 votes. Total votes cast, 1,171. For place 7, Debbie Timmerman, 811 votes. And Daniel Hobbs, 339 votes, with a total cast of 1,150. So at this time, do I have a motion to accept the results as read? Motion by Mr. Schofield. Second by Mr. Cooper. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Now, back on task. Our oath of office will be oath of office for board members elected at the May 3rd, 2025 election. We have Judge Wallace here tonight to administer those oaths, so the floor is all yours, sir.
I want to thank you for doing what basically a thankless task. You don't get paid. There's no end to the people who are going to take issue with some decision you make. And we share that in our line of work. Okay? As a family judge, there's nothing more emotional at the courthouse. There's nothing more emotional in our public than the education of our children. I thank you for doing what you do. I don't really care where the rhetoric comes from. You guys obviously made some tough stuff. You're not just here, you're here. So, thank you. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. You solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of trustee of the board of the trustee of the school board of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Congratulations. Let's do that.
Okay, at this time, the board is going to convene into closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5:03. Now 5:50, the board's going to reconvene back into open session. First item will be our invocation by Mr. Cooper and our pledges of allegiance by Rayleigh Rodriguez, Madeline Ortiz, Randy Avalos, and Gail Martinez of Wedgeworth Elementary. Mr. Cooper?
All righty, let us pray. Heavenly Father, most gracious eternal God, Father, we thank you for this evening that you have blessed us to be a part of. Father, we thank you for the great WISD community. We thank you for this school board opportunity to serve. Father, we thank you for our teachers, our staff members, Father, our children. And Father, we just ask that you would have this night to be nothing more, nothing less than what you have perfectly planned. Father, help us to keep the main thing, which is the future of our students. Father, again, we thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this day. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Thank God, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to be Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, next item, board, will be item 8A, which is the organization of the Board of Trustees for election of board president, vice president, and secretary as required by the WISD Board Policy BDAA, legal and local.
Mr. President, I move that we elect Dusty Autry as president, Debbie Timmerman as vice president, and Ryan Pitts as secretary for the 25-26 school year.
I have a motion by Mrs. Kriegel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McCutcheon. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you guys very much for the faith in me to continue to lead this board. Give us a couple of minutes. We're going to change a couple of seats real quick. Okay, we're going to jump down to action item A, which will be the consideration with possible action to hire director of bands at WHS. Mr. Burkhalter?
All right, good evening, board. Dr. Averett. That's a loud one. Okay, it's my privilege to stand before you this evening to recommend Mr. Justin Bell for the position of director of bands. Over the course of his tenure with our program, Mr. Bell has consistently demonstrated the highest standards of musical excellence, leadership, and integrity. He possesses not only the technical skill and musical knowledge required for this role, but also the ability to inspire students, foster discipline, and build a strong, positive culture within the band program. Under his direction, our students will thrive in both performance quality and professionalism. Beyond the podium, Mr. Bell is an advocate for the arts, an excellent communicator with parents and staff, and a collaborative team player who contributes to the wider goals of our school and district. I'm fully confident in Mr. Bell's ability to lead our band program to new heights and represent our district with pride. I wholeheartedly recommend Mr. Bell for the position of Director of Bands.
Okay, board, at this time, I'll entertain to approve action item A as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Kriegel, second
Okay, hold on. I've got something to
Hold on.
say.
Have a motion by Mrs. Kriegel, a second by Mrs. Cooper. Mr. Cooper,
Okay, go ahead.
now go ahead.
Okay. This kind of got messed up, but what I wanted to say was I'm so excited as a band grandma that Mr. Bell is going to be our new director. So congratulations.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations.
I was asked to say a few words. I have a lot of scribbles on my iPad here, nothing that seemed right, so I guess I'm going to speak from the heart. I was also asked to be brief. We'll see. I mean, I've been with Rich for I don't know how many years now, so. I think the first thing is just to say thank you for the opportunity, for the faith that you're showing in me. It means a lot. I've been here for a decade and a half. I've seen many great things in the band program, the fine arts, and the district. But I think what speaks most to all of it is that none of it would be possible without the consistent and steady support of this group of people right here. And so thank you for everything you do. And as we move forward, I plan to continue just trucking right along with that level of success and pushing. It's part of what we do. We plan to always better ourselves, and that's not going to change moving into next year. There is one important thing. Rich, can you come up here, please? It would not be appropriate for me to stand up here and say thank you without acknowledging what he has done for me and for the band. I would not be the educator I am today without working with him for a decade and a half. I came in as a green teacher who had aspirations, and I was intense, and he was also intense. We have, believe it or not, helped mellow each other out over the years.
Not enough.
But I think to end, the whole process has been very humbling for me. Encouragement has poured in from all sides, and that's been gratifying, to say the least. I look forward to continuing the rich legacy that we've established and that he started 20 years ago as we move forward into the next 10, 15, 20 years. So thank you.
like to recommend that we pull item B. Okay, good.
So we did have one other action item, was action item B, that will be removed tonight for no action taken on that agenda item. So we will move back to our report section, which our report A is the superintendent's report. Dr. Averett?
Okay. Forget that. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'll start over. I want to say a public thank you to our Ed Foundation. Friday night's gala was a huge success. Right at the beginning of the event, they awarded scholarships and grants, scholarships to students and grants awarded to our staff, over $150,000 invested. I can tell you, that makes a difference in people's lives, definitely makes a difference in the lives of those students and their families who received those grants. Throughout the evening, raised over $200,000 to go back into this community. Like I said it Friday night, but I'll say it again, schools, we can't do it alone. And of our core value of community involvement and belonging, it comes out in these kind of events. And so thank you again to all the folks from the Ed Foundation and their board and everybody who supported that event, everybody who sponsored a table, sponsored the meal. We really, really appreciate you. This is May. We are in the thick of it. The good thing is it'll be over pretty fast as far as all the events we got going on, but it's going to be a race to the finish line from this week and next week. So obviously culminating with our graduation ceremonies for high school of choice, which is Wednesday, May 21st, 6:30 p.m. at the Schaefer Center at Nelson University. Global High School's commencement exercises Friday the 23rd, 7 p.m. at that same location, the Schaefer Center at Nelson. And then Saturday night, May 24th, 8 p.m., Lumpkin Stadium for Waxahachie High School. And that'll put a bow on the 24-25 school year. But again, lots of stuff going on the next 9 to 10 days. Quick reminder, we did make a shift for our regular board meeting that's going to be was scheduled for Monday, June the 9th. It will move to Tuesday, June the 10th. So Tuesday, June the 10th will be our next regularly scheduled board meeting in June. Okay, and now we'll move to our next item.
Okay, our next report will be our informational bond 2023 construction update. Sorry. Mr. Mott.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Averett. I'm here to give you your Bond 2023 construction update. Go over a little bit of what we've done so far and kind of give you some dates so you kind of have some dates on your mind. We have finished Jimmy Ray Elementary. We have finished Walnut Steam Elementary. Hancock Building will be finished by the end of the month outside of 1 or 2 items that we're waiting to come in that will be here early summer. And then the track and field behind that same building will be finished during the summer of 2025. And then this summer, we will have also Findlay Junior High and Howard Junior High both being completed this summer. With the summer of 2027, we'll have Waxahachie Creek High School. Now, I'm hoping it's more spring truly, so we can start putting furniture in there, but I'm putting summer of 2025, meaning furniture installed, everything in that. Summer of 2027 for furniture, everything in that building. So we'll go to the Hancock Building, show you a few pictures there. The Hancock Building, there you're seeing the band hall. You can see one of the upstairs hallways that has been added. That is from old building to new building. It's the cross pathways there they'll have. You should see one of the science room, one of the art rooms. Right now they're doing all the final cleaning, those kind of things in that building. They're starting to do a lot of that. We have a few little touch-ups here and there, but most of it they're starting to do the final cleaning, starting upstairs, working our way down in those areas. Findlay Junior High, you can kind of see there. There's the front area. As you go by there, you're seeing more and more be completed on that. We're waiting on the final metal panels to come in, and that'll really complete the rest of the front of that building to be totally, fully completed there. Your administration area, as you walk in the front door, the area you see right there to your right, that's now the new reception area, those kind of things as you walk into it. You can see the kitchen, we're starting to tile there, starting to put the tile up around that is actually going from, that is the back of the serving line area that you're seeing right there. And then you can see the back entrance where we've added some areas there, adjusted that back entrance out. It'll be a lot cleaner, more newer look on that back of that building now than what it used to be there. Howard Junior High, you can see the cafeteria addition there that we've added. We'll have you can see the drama room. Yes, it looks blue because they've got some blue covering over the glass there. It's not all the time blue, but it's just a blue covering over the glass. Keep the large glass windows from being scratched, those kind of things that you see. You can see the band hall there. We have demoed, and you can see everything you see now is all adding back. We're starting to build walls back from walls we demoed, where we've adjusted, made some moves, things like that. And then you can see there in the small room area over there next to the drama, we're actually starting to brick, and the masonry is going up on that side. As soon as they finish that side, they'll move over the cafeteria addition and start moving that over there. We will actually start the demo of the cafeteria and all that once school kids are out in that time frame there. Then we get to Waxahachie Creek. Waxahachie Creek has been it's been a tough one so far. Weather has been one thing. Well, and then the utility company has discovered this white rock's a little harder than they thought. We're on excavator 3 and 4 out there of digging through the white rock. As you can see now, the picture there on your right is the excavator now, and you can see it's doing a pretty good job there going through there. Picture on the left, that blue one there that has moss written on it, they tore up one of those pretty good, and that was the second one they had there. So they're digging it out with the big one and then filling that trench back up so the little ones can go, make it quicker for them. One is the little ones can't dig through the white rock. So they're just breaking it up, making the trench, and then they'll fill it back in as they're going along. So it makes it a little quicker for that. Instead of, otherwise we would have the trench open too long. Rain would make the trench fall in and things like that. Also, it creates a safety hazard out there. Then we have what's going on the slab. So this is actually a pipe digger that's actually the plumbers are digging. They're going through and doing the same thing is they're going through and pre-cutting all those trenches, and then they're filling those back up. So when they come into the actual plumbers coming in with the little small mini X's and things like that, they come through, everything becomes very easy to dig instead of them trying to dig through that severe white rock and packed ground that they've had out there. Here's some overview sites. Picture on the top is actually looking in the long term, that is, you're at the spur looking across the building. You can see the little L right there in front, right behind that nice lake that we have sitting there. As you can see, these pictures were taken last week, and so we have some water out there. But that is actually the building site you see right there. That is the building starting to go itself backwards. They're probably overall full building, actual building structure site, they're probably about 70% completed of the pad itself, with what is mainly left would be the athletic wing in the back left. Top left of that corner there is the main area that's left to be the compaction and all that for the pad site itself. You get down to that bottom left picture, you can see that picture there. You see the larger white rock yellow area right there. That is actually the softball field. They're starting to work that area as well. The area to the left, the little square there, that is the tennis courts, and they'll start working their way across those areas, starting to pack that. They probably won't do much more on the tennis courts because those take a little bit more specialized when you pack that soil, and they'll leave that just for the tennis court company that does that because of what it takes, because of your cracking in tennis courts and all that. You want them held responsible for the stabilization and all that because that is their specialty versus just a company that does dirt work, in essence. You can see the picture there on the bottom right. That is from the Old Italy Road, basically the spur corner looking out across the pad building there. The building you see right there immediately, it's that white square area. That is actually the compound trailer. A lot of people usually say it's a work trailer. That's 4 of them put together. They have a conference room. They have offices all around it because of the job site and the long time they'll be there. It is needed for that. We have another trailer that is on site as well. It's a single trailer they use for their safety meetings for all the new people that show up. They handle those safety meetings in that trailer and those kind of things. But where that trailer is sitting is in the middle of what will be the parent drop-off ring or drive area that you can see. And you can see some of the dirt where it's already been compacted and formed, as you can see there going around that trailer right there. That is already prepped and finished in that area. So we're getting a lot of the flat work, or a lot of the work starting to be done, those kind of things. We just got last Wednesday, we got the first rounds. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we got the first rounds back from the city on the building permit. And I saw those. Actually, it's not bad at all on the comments. It's mostly clean up versus change this. It's mostly just clean this verbiage up on this page or that page. So it's really not a main issue that we have anything there on the building permit that scares me on anything there. It's not holding us up anything there on that. We're gonna move on to Prop C. So some of the Prop C, one of the big things that's on Prop C that we're working on is removing geothermal out of the district. This will be the first one that will be fully completed and ready by next school year. It will be 100% completed and ready. So we're putting chiller towers on this pad that got poured Saturday morning. They'll set the chillers, they're scheduled probably for Friday, as they'll start setting the chillers on there. As soon as kids are out, we'll get into getting them charged, all that. We can't do anything because we got to keep the current geothermal up and running until kids are out of that building. Once they're out of that building, we'll start disconnecting, running power, those kind of things when there's no kids in the building. But the plan is for this school to be fully functional on chillers by the time we start school. Now, also you'll see on Prop C, it's going to be a busy summer. So when you go by a campus and you think like Marvin, we're doing a lot of work in Marvin. So there's going to be a lot of people coming and going. It's going to look like we're demoing that building in a way, and we kind of are, and everything we're doing there. But you're going to see that in a lot of buildings this summer. I've got one contractor showing up on the 27th with about 125 people throughout the district at 7 campuses. So like I said, we're going to have a lot of people doing a lot of things this summer throughout the district. So it will be a very busy summer. Any questions on anything?
Yes, are we on budget on all of our projects?
All of our projects for Prop A are on or under budget. Yes, ma'am. And then all of our projects for Prop C, we are under budget on everything by line items, and some of those savings we have started spending on other items, such as the geothermal replacement. Because we're getting enough savings on everything we've done, we are starting to spend those on building improvements, long-term building improvements and so forth. So yes, we are on or under budget on everything.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Real quick, what campuses still have geothermal after you switched Felty over?
So we only had 3 originally. We had Felty, Howard, and Clift. Felty's the first one. Howard and Clift have been approved, and we'll start work over there. They will not be completed this summer, but we will start the work and start doing a lot of the work there at those campuses to work to do that through the school year and things like that. We'll get a lot of the infrastructure as much as we can done, but it's the same company that actually got this is doing those others as well. And some of it is we're gonna have to cut the roofs and fly some pieces of material, some things out of the building and in. So we've got to watch the timing and all that. Right weather, right time, those kind of things of what we're doing. But we'll have all 3 of them by the 26th school year, all 3 of them will be completed, yes. So we will no longer have geothermal in the building.
All right, thank you.
In the district, I'm sorry.
Anything else,
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Lamont? Thanks, sir.
No problem.
All right, moving on to Report C with an informational report on the parent-student survey results. Teresa McCalter?
Okay, all right, board. The survey results should be in your packet in full text, so you can read each question and how each response was disaggregated. The surveys were active for parents and students from February 14th through March 7th, and we ended up with 1,693 elementary student responses, 863 secondary student responses, and 2,508 parent responses. Our surveys were offered in both English and Spanish, and so this evening I'll go over the highest scoring questions and the lowest scoring questions for each of these 3 surveys. On our elementary survey, The three questions that had the highest scores were questions 4, 7, and 5. Those were, my teacher wants me to do my best, I learn a lot in class, and my teacher helps me to keep trying when the work gets hard. Some opportunities for growth, or our lowest scoring questions, were number 10, which is my homework helps me learn. Nobody really enjoys homework, so it's not a surprise that that only garnered 70% of the survey. Question 13, I feel like I belong in the school community and I enjoy coming to school. Those were both relatively high scoring questions, but lower of the 15 we had. And the secondary student survey. The three highest scoring questions were number 6, 3, and 18. So to receive a good grade, I must work hard in class. I take pride in my academic work, and I participate in extracurricular activities. So it does look like our students feel like they're challenged. Some areas for growth would be questions 14, 10, and 17. So students in this school treat adults with respect. Discipline is good, in this school is fair, and I enjoy coming to school. Okay. Our parents tended to have a very positive picture of our campuses, which is a great news for us. The highest three questions were 13, 5, and 2. My child's campus is clean and well maintained. The principal of my child's school is an effective leader, and my child's campus provides a safe environment. With the three areas for growth being questions 9, 3, and 10, which is related to feedback, regularly receiving feedback from my child's teachers and other school staff, student learning being a priority at the campus, and I feel well informed about the issues impacting my school. Okay. Do you have any questions? Several weeks ago, you received the comments from all of the surveys, so you should have been able to see any of the questions and the answers.
I don't have a question, but I do think it's concerning that our kids don't feel like our teachers get treated with respect. So when kids are saying that, it's concerning.
It is. I agree.
Anyone else? Okay. We'll move to report D, which is also you, Ms. Burkhalter. Informational report related to the history of recaptured positions.
Okay. So, Board, over the last 3 years, we have looked very carefully at positions in the district, starting in 2023-24, when we began to use Cardonics, which is a master scheduling software that is used in secondary campuses. It was first used then to evaluate staffing and staffing based on district-approved ratios. We looked at the 1 to 28, and 13 positions that year were either moved or eliminated through attrition, and 3 elementary positions that year were recaptured or moved. The total positions recaptured, we used a few where they were needed, but the total positions recaptured were 11 that year, with a savings of approximately $360,000. In 24-25, we've had expanded scrutiny of each position. Every position, when we have a vacancy, is taken to cabinet, requires approval of cabinet before posting. 8 positions this year have been recaptured from central administration, special education, and TLI with an approximate savings of $675,000. In addition, 26 positions were recaptured at the elementary levels, with 12 positions recaptured at secondary. The total positions recaptured is 22.25, because again, a few were repurposed where needed, and the approximate savings was $1.6 million. And then looking to 25-26, plans for the upcoming school year, we plan to end the campus-based substitute position, which was temporary from the beginning. We will centralize our elementary PEMS clerks, and our 3 junior high library aides will be reassigned to other positions in the district. A receptionist at the junior high level will be reassigned as well. We have junior high 3rd assistant principals that will be reassigned through attrition, and we continue to have the same scrutiny over positions. We look at every posting, and those postings are approved by cabinet before they go on our job boards. we look at cardonics and elementary enrollment data to make sure that we're making the right decisions for staffing and recapture where we can. The total positions recaptured thus far for 25-26 is 40 positions for an approximate savings of $1.6 million. So, do you have any questions?
Has there been any of those positions that, after not refilling them, you've seen that there is a need for them and we do fill them?
So they're not so much the same position, but we may need a position elsewhere in the district. And so rather than asking for a new FTE, we would use that through a contingency and fill the position that way. That's the reason that some of these numbers, like here, we saved 38 positions, but our total recaptured positions is 22.25.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything negative in regards to being shorthanded or anything like that, so I think it's great. I was just curious if anybody's noticed that there's a need that wasn't being filled, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems like our libraries are getting a double whammy. For years, we tried to get certified librarians in all of our elementary schools, and we finally got it. So now we're going back to only putting a paraprofessional in there. And then our junior high campuses, which they do a lot in the library. I just don't see how our librarians are going to be able to do everything without a paraprofessional. So can we look at that again, to give the junior high teachers back their paraprofessionals?
We can absolutely take a look at that again. We're also looking at the job description for the roles of the librarian at the junior high. And we've recognized that they have a lot of technology responsibilities.
Yes.
And so some of those responsibilities are things that we're considering and wondering who else or where else we can get support for that rather than the paraprofessional role.
So that is being looked at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So I just see 12 positions recaptured at secondary levels. And I guess my question would be, or statement would be, we need to, for continued growth, really look at any reduction in the secondary levels of teachers, because I know that I understand how it works. And so a teacher may have 30 to 32 in her classes, but because when we turn in all our reports, they factor in the special ed teacher who might have 3 or 4 in a class. So it kind of fixes the the student, number of students in classes. That kind of makes it wacky, because you have this 4 averaged in,
Right.
But you may have 30 to 32 sitting in your classes. So I really think we need to look at what we can do as far as secondary and being sure that teachers aren't stuck with 28, 30 kids, because we all know that that's not as productive as what
Sure.
we need. And so.
Sure, absolutely. And through Cardonics, we can set the number at whatever we need it to be. So the numbers are not set above 28. So we look at numbers between ideally 25 and 28 students per class in secondary. And there are a few outliers, specifically in junior high fine arts, where those numbers are a little bit higher. And so we'll be talking about ways to work around that and make those numbers a little more reasonable.
And no, I don't like the junior high, the outliers, the art and band and everything being huge. Core classes is
Yes,
mainly
ma'am.
what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next report will be our report E, informational report on teacher incentive allotment consultant services for the 2025-2026 school year. Mrs. Mott.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. Averett. In my conversations with several districts in Region 10 in particular about TIA, one name kept coming up again and again as a consultant that was used. And so I reached out to Matt Pope with EdPAC and had several meetings with him. He came here in district and met with us as well. And we have entered into a contract service with Matt Pope to help support us in our TIA process. In your board packet, I did include the full contract services that his contract with us, and then here you have the consultation services outlined. And so just to highlight a few of these things in here, he is going to start working with us now, even though the contract does not officially start until next school year. He'll be working with us now as we are collecting the data from our teachers for the data submission that's due in October of 25. So he's going to help us ensure that we have a smooth data submission. He will work with us to develop a calibration plan and calendar for next year. He will come in and do training for our campus and district leaders on calibration and t-tests, which was one of the areas that we would need to improve in. He will help track our t-test evaluations throughout the year. Help us with collecting data next year. He has a few things to help streamline that process. I visited with him this afternoon about the things that we already have in place, and he's definitely going to work with us with the things we have in place this year, and then we'll switch over to the actual systems of tracking that he has for next year, and so it will streamline it even more. He will also do the updates to our TIA guidebook that can be found on our website, and he will maintain those. His contract services involve 4 in-person trainings and then 4 to 6 virtual check-ins as well. As I mentioned, I did meet with him earlier today to look at the types of trainings that we would like to deliver next year, and it's really good. We'll be kind of continuing on that next step for our campus leaders. We started the first year with doing calibration trainings every month with principals. This year, we did an in-depth look at the t-test rubric with our principals. So we'll be putting both of those pieces together next year and taking our principals every month on a campus and spreading out around that campus and doing that calibration live and in person in classrooms. And so we can take all that knowledge we've worked on in the last 2 years and continue to improve calibrating our t-tests to our student growth. Okay, and that's just telling you there about the number of engagements. We did contract with the highest level of support that he has this next year. We are very excited and confident in Mr. Pope's abilities. He is working with 12 different districts across the state of Texas, and he has a 100% submission rate. So we are very optimistic and excited to work with him. Can I answer any questions?
Okay, Ms. Mott, so we haven't been told, so you keep saying for next year, so will our teachers be eligible for the TIA this coming year?
Okay, so right now we're collecting all the data for this school year. That data is due no later than October, okay? And so we will then find out in February of 2026 about this year's data. Everything runs a year behind, so it's hard to understand. So we have not gotten our data together for this year yet. We're still waiting for MAP testing to come in. And of course, we're still waiting for our teachers who are using STAR data, all that to come in. So we'll start working on that now, and we'll work on it through the summer, and then we'll be ready to submit no later than the end of October. So yes, all teachers in that eligibility band, all their data will be submitted this year.
Okay, but it was earned this year, is that correct?
This year's data that's happening right now is what we'll collect in the summer.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand, but it is.
It is so confusing. It is. And I did talk with him today about how he's feeling about our data for this year, because we did have some struggles with last year's data. And he said that the response that we did and the training that we did this fall, he is optimistic that it will improve our data, because we did respond to the SKU appropriately and we put the right training in place, that he is optimistic that when our data comes in this year, we're going to have a really good data submission, and we're hoping to have a valid system and be approved. That's what we're all going for.
Okay. The only other question I guess I have, and that'll be for next year, but I believe that the House is considering like a bill where they're gonna do STAR 3 times a year.
Oh, really?
I believe that's
Wow,
correct.
okay.
And so that probably would take the place of
Yeah.
maps.
We'll have to see how that affects,
Yeah.
the TIA. Yeah, that'll be interesting if that
Right.
comes all the way through.
Yeah, it actually won't be, the STAR test would go away. It would be the 3 interim tests given throughout the year.
They've talked about that for a
Yeah,
few years.
so
yeah.
that's the proposal. So,
Okay. And it is STAR, I just thought it was another version of the STAR, so.
I think it's a shorter assessment that would be given 3 times. Ms. Heimbuck, do you have some additional data for that?
Yes, sir, it is a shorter assessment, not super short, but shorter than the current STAR, and it is more of a formative assessment, where STAR right now is more of a summative assessment. So the purpose would be, if the state moves that direction, to have 3 formative measures throughout the year to see our students' growth and how they're progressing throughout the school year.
And I think another thing that's part of that plan, if it comes to fruition, is that teachers would receive data within a very short it'd be a very short turnaround.
Okay.
By like 24 to 48 hours, they would have that data, and that could inform their instruction.
Okay, okay, I just have heard a little bit about
Yep.
it, but I wouldn't know how it impacted this.
And it would be great to have our consultants help along with that when changes like that occur. We will definitely be relying on him.
Well, we will know what June,
Second, I think.
the
soon.
2nd or 3rd?
Yeah, I think that's
When
soon,
the
yeah.
legislature signed I
Absolutely.
I won't say it. Anyway, when we say goodbye to the legislature for the year.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions I can answer?
Anyone else? Okay, our next report will be informational report regarding the breakdown of campus and grade level of students attending Wildman through the lottery. Ms. Mott?
Okay, so we did open up the lottery this year to accommodate upwards of about 800 students. I thought it would be of interest to see how that has impacted our elementary enrollments across the district. So this chart shows you this year's students as well as going into next year with that expanded lottery. I think of interest to note is Wedgeworth has the highest total number of students in this year's draw as well as they did last year. We pulled 109 students in total from the Wedgeworth zone to attend Wildman. And Simpson is pretty high as well. Second place there, we're pulling about 88 students away from Simpson. That is really, really helpful as we are trying to keep Simpson within the 4 walls of their building and not have to put portables out there again. If you'll see, we took 21 kindergartners out of that zone for next year. That is a full class of kids, which is very helpful because we are full out at Simpson, even considering taking 21 students. I have had to adjust my staffing plans with this information. For example, at Dunaway, 19 kindergartners from that zone will be going to Wildman next year. So we've had to look at, do we collapse down from 3 sections of kindergarten to 2 there? And that was the plan for Wildman, is to pull that enrollment off of our elementary campuses. And so we are making adjustments to staffing right now. I was hoping to get you a breakdown by economically disadvantaged students and other demographic information for next year, but that's just not available quite yet as the student pathways have not all been put into Skyward at this time. But as soon as I have that information in July or August, I will bring that back to you to show, areas that we need to continue to recruit in, to keep Wildman to be a very balanced campus and a good representation of our district. So as soon as I have that, I'll bring that back to you in a board report. Any questions I can answer?
Okay, so will this next report include like the socioeconomic
Yes.
status of the students?
Yeah, we'll break it down by the demographics of Wildman and see how close we are to representing the entire district.
It's
And
pretty
then
well
also how
balanced.
impactful our bus transport is to help Wildman.
I can tell you this year and last year, we've had less than 10 students take advantage of our shuttle. We'll see how that's impacted by the new location in the fall. But we have not had a lot of students take advantage of that.
Right.
And some of it is just the logistics of having to leave so early in order to pick so many students up and get there. It does make that bus route leave pretty early in the morning.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Next report, Mr. Calden, be a review of the annual investment report and strategies.
Thank you, sir. Board, you do have an updated annual investment report that was at your dais seat. There were 2 typos in the one that was in board book. There are 2 months within capital projects that had 0 as the investment earnings, and that's inaccurate information, so that was updated. Overall, board, the report is broken down by fund type. So you'll see the general operating funds first, and then interest and sinking. And then QSCAB is a specific type of bond within interest and sinking that we make sinking fund payments on every year. That bond will be paid off actually here in about 3 more years. And then the building fund is the bond funds from the May bond of 2023, and then you will see the very end of it is scholarship money that we have that is invested. As a district, we did beat the 91-day T-bill average, which within our investment report or policies, that is our bellwether that we're looking at. So we did better our investment returns over the 91-day T-bill average. We continue to monitor for compliance with Public Funds Investment Act. This is a legislative year, so if there are any changes to the Public Funds Investment Act, we will bring that back to you at the end of the legislative session. But as of right now, there are no proposed changes to the investment policy or the strategies, but wanted you to have the annual investment report, and we will ask for your approval of the report and the policy and strategies at the next board meeting. So any questions as you look through that I can answer for you tonight before we bring it back for your approval next meeting?
Questions, comments? Okay. Our next report will be our quarterly demographic update. Mr. Calden?
Oh, I'm gonna go back 1 second. Made this really fun chart, and I didn't even show you this chart. Board, this is just a line graph that will show you the monthly yield for every investment type that we had. They were all essentially investment pools, so they're going to be very closely aligned. The green line is a special account that we have our depository bank that is holding on to some bond funds, but you will see that in every month except for August of 2024, the yield return beat the 91-day T-bill average. Fun info, but this is the kind of cool stuff I'm interested in. So next, we'll go on to the demographic report, and I'm going to try to break this because there we go. Oh, and of course it says I need access. Oh, because I'm logged in as Steven. Well, talk about a major letdown in terms of hyping it up, and there it is. Hey, Steven, if I share that with you, will it pop up or does it need a refresh? Oh, no wonder.
Will it take a few minutes for it to reboot, Mr. Calden?
I'm sorry?
Will it take a few minutes for it to reboot?
Yes, sir. We can either try to do it now or we can delay it till next month if you would like, sir.
Or I can do the consent agenda and come back if I need to. I mean, we're talking several minutes?
Yes, sir. If you'll give me a few minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go to consent agenda and then we'll come back and wait. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, board, so we're going to skip to our consent agenda, which is probably the longest one I think I've ever seen. We have items A through Y. Am I correct in reading that? For consideration. No, Mr. McCutcheon, I don't need you to sing it. Up for consideration, so as you know, we can take these all in one motion, or if there's some that need to be removed for individual discussion. However, the board may chooses to proceed.
I'd like to make a couple of clarifying statements regarding some of the items on the consent agenda. Specifically, first off, consent agenda item L, which is related to a trip this summer with our SSEP students to Florida to participate in the student conference. That's our student space exploration program. And that's for the students that were selected for their project, their microgravity project, along with one administrator and one coordinator. It's 4 students, 1 admin and 1 coordinator. And that is right around $3,500 that'll cost for that trip to Florida. Also, items N through T, you'll see those items are related to sound system upgrades, key card entry for doors on campuses. So those items N through T, all of those are being funded through our Prop C funds, so bond funds for that. And then the final one is item U, which is consideration to approve the WHS band trip to Florida, basically next spring break. This is something they do every other year. And just a reminder that we do not use district funds for this trip. This is a trip that's paid for through fundraisers and student fees.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. McCutcheon.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Timmerman. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, back to you, Mr. Calden. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Quarterly
I apologize for
quarterly
the delay.
demographic report.
All right, for the demographic report. Board, this is your fourth quarter of 2024 demographic report update. And let me get my mouse over there. Local economic conditions, you can see that our local area continues to trend with the greater DFW region. Our unemployment rates continue to lag. Well, this is a positive indicator. Our unemployment is less than the state average and the U.S. average. Ellis County is right in line with the local DFW market. So it's a really good sign for us that there's work out there, and there are plenty of people who have the ability to work. In terms of housing activity, as a market, the DFW Dallas area market is still the leader over the other major metro areas within our country. We had about 47,000 annualized starts in the fourth quarter. It's not the largest gain. If you look down at Portland, it's 85% or so gain, but we're a much larger market than the Portland market. I don't know if you're really asking. I don't know if that's Oregon or Maine. I would assume it's Oregon, but that's a significant increase at 85%. We have too many housing units within DFW to see an 85% increase in any one quarter, but you can look at the change from 2019, still a very healthy increase of 36% in terms of annualized starts from the fourth quarter of 2019. So the market is still very strong in the Dallas area, and we are part of that market. We've been looking at new home starts and closings over the last couple of quarters. You see the inverted period right over here where our closings were outpacing our starts. As we kind of went through the end of that COVID period, we knew we were going to hit a little bit of a lull, and we did that through pretty much all of last year and the first part of this year. You're starting to see a little bit of separation again, so we're seeing our starts exceeding our closings. Right now, it's almost 1,700 units as of the fourth quarter of 2024. That's more in line with that traditional model of having available homes for people to come and purchase. It should slow down on the bid wars as we get into the buying of houses, though there is enough pressure from interest rates that can also help stop that bid war, as the interest rates are much higher than they were not too long ago. In terms of a full year, if you look at our starts and closings, 2024 is back in line with 2019. So right before we hit all of the real bubble that came with the pandemic, you look at our starts are a little bit higher than they were in 2019 for a full year. closings right on par, a little bit more than they were in 2019. So we're getting back into a more familiar model, a more sustainable model of where we were with starts and closings about 4 or 5 years ago. So that's a good trend for us going forward. 1 year change, this is just looking at the fourth quarter of 23. You will see a positive variance through every one of these listed categories except for futures. So futures, again, that's that planned development going in. So we're eating into some of those future lots as we're putting in the infrastructure to put that lot on the ground and make it developable for a residence. But at this point, we are not backfilling that future. So that's a sign that there could be additional growth on the horizon, or if we're not going to backfill those futures, then we may start running out of lots again going forward within our community. But at 18,200 lots or futures, that's still a pretty healthy amount that's in the pipeline for our developers to be working on. Kind of looking at the elementary zones, there's the key piece. You're looking for yellows and greens within the zones. The red is kind of the third highest in any one category, but yellows and greens, if you look out across the board, they're really concentrated in Wedgeworth and Shackelford. And those are the two areas that we keep over and over as a leadership looking at how can we provide future relief in the Shackelford zone and in the Wedgeworth zone. We do look at Jimmy Ray. They have a significant number of future home sites within that area, but it doesn't really hold a candle to Wedgeworth. Wedgeworth is almost 3 times the number of future lots or future sites within that zone compared to Jimmy Ray as the next highest group within that category. So we are really paying attention to the yellows and greens because that's an indicator of activity now and into the future within those zones. And so when we look for a site for a future elementary campus, we're looking to try to provide relief at the campuses that are experiencing the significant growth now and going forward. Lost my mouse. There it is. Okay, housing overview. I keep losing my mouse. And where is it? There it is. Okay. It's a hotspot map, so you've seen this before. There are 44 active building subdivisions within our district, and you can see they're in every single zone, sans a couple. There might not be a whole lot of activity right now in Northside and Marvin, but we do know that those are generally built-out areas of our community, but you see them in every other zone. 753 lots were delivered in the fourth quarter of 2024, and groundwork is underway on about 520 lots right now within 5 actively building subdivisions. And so those lots, if you're curious, the red outlines are the 5 subdivisions in which the lots are being delivered, and you can see we have some in Dunaway, some in Wedgeworth, some in Clift, and some in Jimmy Ray. We'll highlight a few of these in the Shackelford zone. So if you are on Alton Adams, you will see that Harlan Village. It is right behind the water treatment plant, kind of right in between Butcher Road and, actually it's right on Butcher Road, right here, this one. And so that is 230 future lots. Preliminary plat was approved in 2018, but recent work hadn't started until just recently. So we don't really have an estimate right now of what those homes are going to be going for, but we do expect some activity to start in that area. Villaggio at Victron Park, this is going to be on the west side of 77. That's going to be backing up, I believe, if memory serves. This is Atwoods. So you're going to see that development right over kind of by the Cancuns and Atwoods, all that development that Victron has been putting in just south of Butcher Road. Those are townhomes. They're looking to go for right around $300,000 to $330,000 each. And then as we kind of go a little bit further into the Shackelford zone, we come off of 813 and we have Bent Creek Estates, 49 total lots. Groundwork is underway on all of the units. You can kind of, the shaded map kind of gives you a general idea of where things are going to go, and then if you want to look on the GPS rendering, you can kind of see what work is actually in place versus underway. So you can see that up here in the Harlan Village, still not a whole lot of work that's happening on the ground, but they are making plans to get that development underway. As we moved a little bit south, we're into the Simpson zone and kind of where the Shackelford and Simpson boundaries are. Dove Hollow, this is the one that backs up to Grove Creek. 621 total lots, 309 are vacant developed lots, 103 homes under construction, 230 are occupied currently. They're building about 150 to 200 homes a year, so not a whole lot more for them to go with this development. And the prices are somewhere between $350,000 and $475,000 for the home. So final lots were delivered in the fourth quarter of last year, so it's a matter of time before Dove Hollow is fully built out. Within North Grove, there's still about 1,400 total lots, about 206 are vacant developed, 41 homes under construction, about 1,100 homes are occupied at the moment. So that leaves about 184 lots that are still in the Felty zone, and the builder is Bloomfield. So you'll see, again, North Grove, you'll see that development kind of get to its completion as a whole-on development in not too much longer as they continue to grow. All right, now into the Wedgeworth zone, Ridge Crossing. So Ovilla Road is on the eastern boundary of this subdivision, and if you're really looking at it on the west, it's Waxahachie High School. So that give you an idea of where we are. This is between Ovilla and WHS. Ridge Crossing, so there's three different developments going on in the same area. Ridge Crossing has 242 total lots, 114 future lots. 96 are vacant developed, so they're ready for homes to start being constructed, 15 of which are already underway. Now, you may remember on the last demographic update, we started talking about the median price and we started talking about affordability and when you start seeing that student density, and it's not usually at a higher price point, it's usually at a lower. So one thing that would be a little bit of a concern is when you start seeing Ridge Crossing with 240 total units, and the starting price is $500,000 for those units. We would not expect a significant density increase over areas, say in North Grove or in Camden Park. We would expect those to yield more students than a $500,000 home is going to, but the average range is $500,000 to about $650,000 in that Ridge Crossing neighborhood. Shepherd's Place continues. It has 264 total, about 17 homes under construction. Starting price is about $350,000, so we would expect a greater density of students to come from Shepherd's Place than we would Ridge Crossing. The other development in this area is going to be Dominion Park, 206 total lots. Groundwork is underway in the entire development. Don't really have a build-out time at this point, but I would imagine at 260 lots, it's probably going to be relatively quick. We might be looking at 8 to 10 years total development if they go at the same place or same pace that Shepherd's Place is going at. In Dunaway, we're looking at Wooded Creek. So 30 total lots, a relatively small development, 17 vacant developed, 4 homes under construction, 7 homes already occupied. But again, that price point is $550,000 to about $625,000. So a little bit more elevated price point, so we would not expect as much density from that neighborhood. And then we also have Waterfall Ranch Estates, 160 total units, 147 are vacant developed, 10 homes under construction at this point. And again, that price point is in the low 500,000s. So those are the big developments that we're looking at right now that are kind of under development and putting more lots on the ground. Wanted to show you a trend as it relates to multifamily housing. So in December of 2024, we actually saw occupancy drop overall in multifamily housing. It's not a great shift, about a 1.5% reduction in total occupancy. But you also see the asking price for rent is coming down a little bit, relatively unchanged, but it is a red number with a negative. And so you're seeing the effective rent per square foot come back down a little bit as well to $1.72. This is for the entire DFW area. It's not just Waxahachie. So that's stabilization of the multifamily market. Overall, we have about 5,000 multifamily units within the district. And then some of those are future and others are just under construction. You'll see a lot of the units kind of right there in the middle of the middle band of the district. Looking at the 10-year grade level forecast, so the numbers that I'm kind of looking at are over in this last column, the percent growth. As a district, we're expecting about a 3.8% growth in total student enrollment for the 25-26 school year. I will not budget all of those students. Total growth on a student count is 420. I'll probably budget about 300 because I would rather more students come than I anticipated than the other way around. So we'll budget about 300 student growth, but what you see is the trend. It was 4.3, then 7, then we started running out of available homes for people to purchase, so we started slowing down to 2.3, 1.3, but now that you're seeing that normal curve where we have vacant houses for people to purchase, you should start seeing that growth trend pick back up. Over the next 10 years, you're seeing roughly an average of 4.5% growth. You see it hit 5% for a couple of years, but overall, you're seeing about 4.5% growth, which is much better than a 7% growth. We would prefer not to have the 7% growth years. So this show you by elementary zone. I'm not paying a whole lot of mind to the green and yellow boxes because this was before the Wyoming lottery numbers, so the demographer does not know where those students are coming from. And Ms. Mott just told us that a good number of students were going to come from the Wedgeworth zone and the Simpson zone. So you will see that green Simpson box for 25-26 is likely not going to be a green Simpson box because of the students that were pulled for that Wyoming lottery. So we do have Wyoming on here at a much higher capacity or enrollment number than we had previously, but we have not decreased any of the other campus enrollments because of it. We did not know them at the time that this report was created. At secondary level, you see relatively flat, not a ton in the way of junior high enrollment. You're seeing it about 3.3%, which is right in line with our overall district growth. The flat level was more at the high school level, about 1.8% high school growth, which would be great for a campus that's already asking for some relief at WHS. They should not see a significant influx of additional students, which is the best that we can offer them because in 26-7, they're looking at almost a 3.8% increase. Sorry, Charlie. Overall, about 3.8% growth for the district, and next year about a 4.2%. And then not a whole lot on that slide for you, so we'll leave it right here. Any questions on the demographic report? Okay.
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mr. Collins. So global, I'm seeing that, I mean, I believe we were trying to hit over 400. Is that still our goal, to hit right around 400?
So realistically, global and school of choice, the numbers on here honestly are just plugs. They are not actually based on anything because global does not have a true attendance zone. It is that lottery based. And so, yes, ma'am, our goal is to keep it around 400. As it transitions back to the TC Wyoming building, it will not have the ability to grow to 600 or 700 just because of the limitations of the building. But yes, it's our expectation that it will stay around 400.
And you're saying it's lottery based?
It's the application based, and so it's not, my apologies, it's been a long day. It's not lottery based, it is application based, and so, but it's impossible to define a certain attendance zone for the students at Global.
Right, I understand.
Good catch.
Yeah, so, but they are all Waxahachie ISD students now.
Unless they are coming with a parent who's working at that campus.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was just going to say that round 400 number is about the ideal number for our early college high school. It's right about right. That's like the sweet spot. So.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Avery.
Anything else for Mr. Collins? Okay. Our last report will be report I, information report on WISD's balanced scorecard, priority 4, financial integrity.
I just surprised myself with that ability there. All right, balance scorecard. Oh, just kidding. Oh, we're at the end of balance scorecard. Hold, please. Well, that was a real fun report. Hope you enjoyed it. Balance scorecard priority for financial integrity. Let's do it from the front this time. Our key strategic actions have not changed since the last time we reported. I will not read them for you. 4.1, 4.1A, a budget quarterly comparisons. We are still sending these out. Our next one is due to go out at the end of May, and so we will send that out to our campuses. We sent one out in December, and then the next one will go out in May, and so that is on our calendar to send out. 4.1B, we have earned the traditional finance and the debt obligation transparency star from the comptroller's office. I reported to you about a year ago that those were under review. We were confirmed to continue to receive both of those. We got our traditional confirmation in May and our debt confirmation in October. I got an email last week from the comptroller's office that they are reviewing both of those stars for continued compliance and reconfirmation right now. So we anticipate we will get some word on that probably by the end of July. And we look forward to receiving those updates and getting reconfirmed. On 401C, Board, you approved the budget adoption calendar for 25-26 at your January meeting, and then our 10-year expenditure projection plan truly is on hold. It really, I know it says that we're going to keep doing it and we'll get it posted, but right now it is truly on hold as we go through Proposition C and we do the campus improvements. A lot of those items were on that 10-year expenditure projection plan. So that plan needs a lot of updating right now. And as we get through with those Prop C items at the end of summer, we will definitely update that. The other side of that coin is realistically, there's not a whole lot of additional funds for us to go out and start tackling these items right now. So we are hoping that the House Bill 2 that was approved by the House and sent to the Senate with funding will pan out and come through for us, because then we will really have to start tackling our expenditure projection plan with some available resources. But right now, that's been one of our biggest struggles, is putting in the time to get that plan wholly accurate and live without additional funds to follow through and make that a realistic plan. So that is the one thing that I'm struggling with the most out of all of this. 4.2 generally relates to our facilities and how we use them. So 4.2, we have a long-range facilities plan. That is, we have work going on right now reviewing all of the systems within every single campus and every single building that is not an instructional campus. And we anticipate that work to be done probably in about the next 8 to 10 months would be my guess. Again, that will need to be updated with Proposition C items that are being addressed. We're doing that work in-house because we know our buildings and we know their challenges better than a consultant walking through on any one day. So we do hope to have a really good list when that work is all fully done. As we go into 4.2B, we have a 10-year plan for facilities. You continue to get the quarterly demographic updates that feed into that plan. I believe the next slide is actually the plan. And then our Bond Oversight Committee on 4.2C, it does continue to meet quarterly. Our next meeting will be June 3rd. Our last meeting was at Wildman, and it was ironic enough a day that the power kept going out on us. And so it made for a real interesting meeting. We kept starting and stopping. Every time we would get the presentation loaded back up, the power would go out again. It finally just gave out on us for the rest of the day, so we kind of just, myself, Mr. Mott, Mr. Kliss, just stood up there and kind of freewheeled and told the group, hey, this is what you would have seen if the presentation worked. But that was a high wind day, so we did have some power issues coming in on that high wind day. But we did have that meeting back in March over at Wildman, and the next one is in June, and it will be here. Here is the 10-year facilities plan. So again, Board, you've seen this before. This is the 17,000 plus student plan, and let me go back. Everything to the left of the purple line is phase 1 of the plan. Those are things that we have bond monies for and are tackling. You will see things such as Jimmy Ray Construction, Jimmy Ray Open. This is our big hurdle at the moment, is Frankie Lugette. We don't have land for Frankie Lugette, so we have not started construction, and thus it will not open as this graph depicts. Wildman Steam Academy has been constructed and is open. The junior high renovations are all underway. Renovations and expansions are all underway. They should all be open for the start of the 25-26 school year. Comprehensive High School number 2, design and construction phase, we're right in the middle of it, still on par for a August 2027 for 27-28 school year opening. Land, this has been our hurdle with Frankie Lugette. We have not identified sufficient land to go out and make that purchase or receive a donation on. So this is holding up our Frankie Lugette construction at this point. And then, Board, you have seen month after month numerous requests for work in Proposition C items to continue going. The items to the right of the purple line would be items that would be needed for phase 2 of the 17,000 plus student plan, along with some other items that district administration are continuing to look at. One may be the athletics facility upgrades at Waxahachie High School that were Proposition D last time and were unsuccessful. We will continue working on those to provide that solution at Waxahachie High School going forward. And then also, just as a district, we continue to run into some challenges as it relates to our transportation facility. We are running out of space to park buses, so we do need to look for an alternate arrangement going forward. That may not mean a new transportation facility, that may mean a satellite facility. We're still exploring those options, but we have a placeholder on our chart just so that we know to revisit that and bring that back to you when we are ready to go forward with phase 2. And then 4.3, the business office does do a customer satisfaction survey so that we can get feedback on how we do what we do. We send that out to principals, department heads, and secretaries, usually around Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We've received those results, and we are reviewing those and making sure that we are addressing the areas of concern. Overall, I would tell you that our satisfaction from users is roughly 90%. So we're pretty happy with that, but we know that there's room to improve, so we keep doing it. One of the ways that we try to improve is increase the financial knowledge and skills of our budget managers. One of the big feedback points that we got from them is, we don't know what we don't know. We really wish you would help us learn more of the financial stuff. So Ms. Ross and her team have started, I believe we're in the second year now, of doing monthly financial trainings, and the topics rotate. They're timely and they rotate based on feedback, and so they're trying to give our campus and department heads that financial training at about a 10,000 foot view so that they can make sound budget decisions and we can have good conversations about their budget and finance. And then, Board, you continue to see support services, monthly reports, and transportation reports as part of their reporting to you on a monthly basis in your board packets. So that supports our support services, maintaining accurate information, and reporting it out regarding projects and work orders. So with that, I know that was relatively quick and relatively high level, but that is our balanced scorecard report for this half year. Any questions that I can answer regarding the balanced scorecard report?
Anyone? Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our report section. So the last thing we have on our agenda is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Kriegel. Second, Mr. Schofield. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.